if you're just getting in your car to start off your morning, I spent the first hour teeing off on the Big Ten and why I believe all college football should be played. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot about that all week. But also, you got the NBA playoffs that are officially underway tonight, really this afternoon, starting at around 1 Eastern time. They're going to be going all day. We've got 16 teams that are left. And if you watched over the weekend, the Trailblazers fought their way in as the 8th seed, eliminating the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant had a heck of a game in defeat. There's a lot of reasons for optimism if you're a Memphis Grizzly fan, given all the injuries that they had. But the Trailblazers, in the 9 games that they have played in the bubble, have found a way to win 7 of them, and all 9 of them feel like they have come down to the final couple of minutes. It's one of the craziest things I've seen. And I think the Trailblazers are going to give the Lakers a challenge, especially if we can continue to see Damian Lillard playing anywhere near the level that he has been playing so far. But I thought to start off hour 2, and we'll bring in Jason Whitlock and get his picks on this, as well as his discussion about the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and all the college football craziness as well. We'll continue that discussion. But I thought maybe I'd go ahead and give you all my picks so we can keep this. We've got the bracket challenge that is out there at foxsports.com. Do you know the exact link, Dub, that I can give out for anybody who wants to fill out a bracket? We didn't get to do the NCAA tournament, so we are doing an NBA playoffs bracket challenge for people out there who are desperate who have bracket envy, basically. We didn't get a chance for the first time in my life, for the first time in your life, to fill out an NCAA tournament bracket. So we have built a bracket allowing you to play for cash and prizes, and I'm not even sure all the different things you can win at foxsports.com, foxsportsradio.com /something. I don't know what the heck it is. They'll put up the link for you at Fox Sports Radio, the Twitter handle there. But I filled one of these out. A lot of you have as well. You got to get your picks in before, obviously, the first game tips. But I'm going to walk you through what I see happening, who I see winning, and where and how I see it emerging. So I'm going to start off in the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks are obviously the biggest favorite. And if you heard us talking last week, one of the biggest questions that's been out there is, what's up with Giannis? The guy has not seemed like he's his usual happy warrior on the basketball court. He seemed angry. He seemed embittered. He just has seemed like a very different person. Maybe it's living in the bubble. Maybe it's being away from his family. I don't particularly know why it is. I just know that it's definitely felt that way as you've watched him play. But you were watching the Bucks in a series against a local team that probably is ready to get back. I think the Orlando Magic are like, man, we've been in Orlando. We've been in this bubble for a long time. Ready to be done here. I think the Bucks win that series in 5. So I've got the Bucks winning in 5 games, moving on to the next round in the Eastern Conference. The other team that is playing that they will then face, Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers. That's going to be an interesting series, but I think the Pacers find a way to get it done there. Then the Pacers go up against the Bucks, and the Bucks advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. So that is one corner of the bracket. Not a lot of excitement there, not a lot of surprises. I have got the Bucks advancing against the Indiana Pacers. Now, here's the challenge in general. It's fun to fill out these brackets, but what makes the NCAA tournament fun is in a one-game setting, anything can happen. The worst team can win. Somebody can be hot from outside. Somebody else can miss 7 or 8 free throws. Next thing you know, the team that you would have never anticipated finding a way to win does. That's what makes the NCAA tournament so much fun to watch. The buzzer beater truly matters. In a 7-game series, it's really hard for the best team not to win. Now, you may have some situations where there's not much that separates the two teams and it comes down to a 7-game, and you know that anything can happen. That's why Game 7 is the best thing that can happen in pro sports. But the challenge is who actually knows on a day-to-day basis how many of these series are actually going to go to 7, especially early on in the NBA. Now, the wild card this year, of course, is I would think inferior teams would be even more disadvantaged by the neutral site setting, because the better team, I believe, is going to be way more likely to win by far than the lesser team, because the lesser team may be more likely to be impacted in a positive way by what happens from their crowd, especially the lesser team if they are young. I don't think the same sort of situation is going to exist with all these games in a neutral site, not to mention it takes away all the uncertainty of travel, all the challenges associated with that. I just think in general, there's not going to be as much suspense. The better teams are going to win more frequently without the crowd present, without the home court advantage. And I think it's also going to impact the officiating. I think the officiating is going to be better than it ordinarily would, because officials get regularly impacted in general by the way that everything, the crowd influences them overall. So when you break out this top quartile there that I just did, I think the Bucks, as the best team in the East, are going to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. What about the bottom half of the quadrant here as you break down what's going on in the NBA? Raptors. Raptors have been on fire. They've played phenomenally well. Anybody who believes that they were going to lose Kawhi and still be as good as they are is lying to you. The Nets are a year away. Look, when you think about LeVert and how well he played and how well he's going to play with Kyrie Irving and with Kevin Durant, I think there's a lot of reason for the Brooklyn Nets fans to be excited going forward, but not this year. In the short term, I like the Raptors in 5 over the Nets, and then I like the Celtics in 5 over the 76ers. In the in the Raptors and the Celtics series, small upset here. Small upset here for me. I've got the Celtics advancing, and so I have got the Bucks and the Celtics as my Eastern Conference Finals. All right, let's go to the Western Conference. Let me walk you through how I see the Western Conference playing out. In particular, I think this Lakers-Trailblazers series is going to be a lot of fun to watch. If I am a Laker fan, like Danny G is, and if I am out there paying attention to everything going on with LeBron and Anthony Davis, look, the Lakers have trouble scoring. I know they got Kuzma as a third scorer, but their guard play, ever since the decisions by Bradley to not play, and then Rajon Rondo with the injury, has been very questionable. Worst of all, offensively, the Lakers have been the worst team in the bubble. Poor shooting, even with a really efficient offensive setup coming from LeBron. And so I think there's going to be a lot of weight on Anthony Davis, a lot of weight on LeBron James, a lot of weight on Kyle Kuzma. Meanwhile, the Blazers can't defend anybody. I've loved watching their games, but it feels like every Blazers game has been 140 to 135. So I think what's going to happen here is it's going to be a battle of styles. And ultimately, the Lakers have the two best players, but I think the Blazers have the better team, and the better players are going to win, but I think the Lakers do it in 6 games. I think the Trailblazers will take 2. I love the Trailblazers in the first game here on Tuesday because they've been in battles. I think they're more battle-hardened. Wouldn't shock me at all if they come out and win game 1. But again, none of it matters from a home court advantage perspective. There's not going to be much of a home court advantage at all for anybody. And so who wins a game really won't carry forward, I don't think, very much to the next game. Getting a home court win on the rival's court, all those things are not going to matter. Ultimately, it's just going to come down to a 7-game series. I think the Lakers find a way to get past the Trailblazers, but I think this will be a really fun series to watch. And if Damian Lillard plays like he's been playing, and if C.J. McCollum, even with a broken back, can actually make the plays that he has been in Nurkic, can take control on the glass. Guy had 20 and 20 against the Grizz. I think this Blazers team has a lot of horses to it. They're a lot healthier than they would have been if they had not had this bubble scenario. And I think, frankly, if the Blazers had been healthy all season, they would have been a 4 or 5. And one thing that's fun to watch in this Blazers and in this Lakers series is how frequently they're going to double team Damian Lillard. But when that happens and he's able to get the ball to Nurkic, I want you to pay attention to how well Nurkic moves for a big man and how well he passes out of these scenarios. So Gary Trent Jr. needs to make some shots. Carmelo Anthony made a big shot down the stretch to basically seal the win for the Trailblazers. Those are going to be stories that are worth following. Who can make plays outside of Nurkic, C.J. McCollum, and Damian Lillard? Ultimately, I think the Lakers survive. I'm not going to go full Charles Barkley and argue that the Blazers are going to the NBA Finals like he has, to his credit, taking a big swing there. I think the Lakers get them in 6. All right, other series that are out there. Clippers-Mavs. This is going to be fun to watch. Strong argument, I want you to think about this, that you can make is that Giannis and Luka are modern-day Larry and Magic, except they're both foreign. There's a strong argument that by next year, the 2 best players in the NBA are going to be Giannis and Luka. But both of them are foreign-born players. They're basically Magic and Larry in the 2020s, except reflecting the NBA's global business. They're both guys who were born overseas. And historically, maybe this will change, but historically, that has impacted in a big way how much the American sports fan embraces them. Americans love American-born athlete stars. Will that change in the NBA? I think Luka and Giannis are really interesting test cases because so far, both guys have been stellar on the court, but the average sports fan has not tuned in to watch them in big numbers. This will be an interesting series. Here's the challenge. The Clippers are 4-0 this year against the Mavs, and they have dominated them in all 4 of those games. I think it continues. Clippers win 1, the Mavs win 1, Clippers win 4, Clippers advance in 5. Who are they going to go up against? The Jazz and the Nuggets are playing. I like the Nuggets to get it done against the Jazz. Mike Conley Jr. leaving. He hasn't played particularly well for the Jazz, but he just left the bubble. Jazz have been an enigma this year. I don't think they've played particularly well. Nuggets haven't played that well in the postseason in general. I think they advance. Nuggets against Clippers. Bad matchup for the Nuggets. Clippers in 5. Lakers going to go up against the Thunder. My one upset pick is I think the Thunder are going to get past the Rockets. I think CP3 is going to get revenge on the Rockets for moving him on. Russell Westbrook not particularly healthy. This Rockets team is going to shoot 50 or 60 threes. You have no idea what's going to happen on any given night. I think it goes 7 games. The Thunder find a way to get past the Rockets. Thunder, Lakers. Lakers handle the Thunder, and it is Lakers-Clippers, as many of us have anticipated it would be in the Western Conference Finals. So my final 4 in the NBA, Clippers, Lakers going up against the Bucks, Celtics. I've got the Bucks coming out of the East. Let me think about that for a minute. I'm going to reverse course. I'm going to go with the Celtics in 7 over the Bucks. All right, I'm filling out my bracket as we go through right now. I've got the Celtics in 7 over the Bucks, and also I think that the Clippers are going to get past the Lakers in 6. So I have got a Clippers-Celtics NBA Finals, and I have got the Clippers hoisting the hardware in 6 over the Celtics. All right, there is the entirety of my NBA predictions. Put those on file, Danny G. Lock them up. We'll see how my predictions do. We'll bring in the crew tomorrow, maybe get everybody's predictions. Even though the games will have already started, I'll give you guys a 1-game advantage because I got Jason Whitlock already scheduled to roll in with me next, and Jason Whitlock is going to be with me for the rest of the show. You guys love Whitlock Mondays. We are halfway through the program now, and we have had a lot of fun already, but things are about to get spicy with Jason Whitlock joining me next.